Welcome to another edition of Africa Sideways. My name's Big Six Simpson and we've got something a little bit tasty for you today. It's making noises in the local bakkie market and it is the new GWM P-Series bakkie. And I think this is the most luxurious, technically advanced bakkie in South Africa at the moment. I know that's a big statement, but big statements is what we make, ladies and gentlemen. The equivalent Hilux in this particular range will cost you 800,000 Rand, and this is coming in at 550,000 Rand. It's got radar cruise control, semi-autonomous driving, the best parking camera in the business. It really does have a lot going for it, ladies and gentlemen. One thing I did notice is the suspension is quite firm. On my previous camera, I've got the GoPro now, but on my cell phone it was bouncing up and down, and I've never seen it bounce up and down like that. So I think perhaps you'd like to run this at 2 bar if you've got it. I got a 2.4 bar and it's a little bit stiff, but here we go, with the speed up, that works just fine. I'm not sure where the squeaking noise is coming from, please excuse that. Stop squeaking. Anyway, I remember first driving my Great Wall Motors with the Steed 5 and the Steed 6. I was very impressed with both vehicles, especially the Steed 6, which is the precursor to this particular model. That was a rear-wheel drive with the same, I think it had the same 2-litre turbo diesel in it, and it really went well. Loads of power, loads of space. And this particular model also feels well made, ladies and gentlemen. The brakes, I would say, are average. They're not class leading. The class leading part of this car is the tech, and the infotainment system is all class leading. You've got seat warmers, you got lane assist, you got collision, you got all the sensors you'd ever want. The downside of having a lot of sensors is you have the potential for a lot of beeping, and you're not really fully in charge of the car. With the semi-autonomous active cruise control, it steers for you, which takes a bit of, it gently steers from you. It's always trying to keep you in the middle of the lane. So you got to be used to, you can't really have a tight grip on the wheel because you're going to be wrestling it half the time. So you've got to trust in the system on some levels. But once you get used to it, it's all good in the hood. Another thing it has an automatic speed sensor telling you how, if you've gone over the speed limit, it pings every time. So every time you go over 120, it pings, which can get a little bit irritating as well. So this car is definitely set up for people who are conscientious drivers, and the beeping will be less. But if you like to give it a bit of wheelie, you almost have to turn everything off before you get started, which can be a bit of a hassle. But in terms of safety, it's got 7 airbags, the best camera system I've seen in a long time. This car is very much like a Prado bakkie. It's got Prado level of spec in here with a tub on the back. So you could say that they're targeting 2 markets at the same time here. You got your bakkie market. It's a good, honest, robust bakkie. You can put nearly a ton in the back, and then you got your Santon cruisers. I can see a lot of housewives enjoying this. Very comfortable, very plush inside, good safety features, and you've got a 5-year, 100,000 kilometer warranty. service plan and warranty, so they really do have a fair amount of faith in the mechanics of this car. And generally speaking, the Chinese tend to make the mechanics simple and the electronics more advanced. There you go. I was a little surprised that it only had a 2-litre turbo engine, and I was thinking it might be a wee bit underpowered, but I'm happy to report that that is not the case, ladies and gentlemen. I drove the Ford Everest 2-litre the other day, and that definitely felt a little bit underpowered, but with a single turbo, but you can't say about that about this vehicle. Yeah, we are at highway speed. You can see you do get a bit of wind noise in the cabin, but I find with most bakkies you get a bit of wind noise. It's really only the Prado, which is not a bakkie, that you get this really, it's like a cocoon-like effect. Here we go. This is an example of, you see the steering wheel is doing its thing here. Come on, straighten up. And then every sort of 10 seconds it wants you to put your hand on the wheel. So you've got to basically just cruise around gently with your hand like this. And it's got the active cruise control. Let's set that to the guy in front of us. There we go, we're just following along now. Not a care in the world. Really is a beautiful place to be, this car. So what's this up against? This is not really up against a Mahindra. That's a base level workhorse bakkie. I like that. It's got much less frills and fuss, but a lot of people these days want all the tech, and this has got bucket loads of tech. So it's not up against the Mahindra. This is going to be up against, I dare say, an Amarok, and an Amarok's almost twice the price. Top of the range, Hilux, wild track, those sort of vehicles. The top spec models. Straighten it out for us. So I find with this lane keeping assist, it tends to follow the left hand lane further than right hand lane, so you tend to be a little bit close to the left hand side. So with some of these autonomous driving, there's still a little bit of development to be done, but it's as good as a Mercedes or the VW autonomous system, and it takes you all the way down to 0 kilometers an hour, where some of the other systems tend to pop you out at when you get below 20 kilometers an hour. You need to take over. So it is an advanced system. There's no doubt about that. Just ambles along here at 110 k's an hour, not a care in the world. The cabin of this car is really a nice place to be. All the tech and information you could ever want. In terms of space at the back, plenty of leg room. Nice leather seats, and they've got this interesting stitching here, which the Asians love. Really is a commanding piloting position. You can see in an off-road situation you might be a little bit shy on clearance at the front. Got quite a long overhang at the front, 210 mils of ground clearance. You can see they put the Coopers on here. You could easily fit a bigger set of tackies on, which would help the ground clearance. And the back end sticks out a fair amount. So for serious off-roading, you're going to need to give it a wee bit of a lift. But I see this more as a city cruiser. It does cut a really nice line. But the business is definitely at the front on this truck. What do you think of the front end of this car, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know in the comments below. The cannonball run, this particular vehicle. One thing I'm struggling to find is is the bonnet hatch. Where could that be? In terms of the underside of the car, there's this thing that's kind of sticking down, which is going to reduce your ground clearance. It looks pretty solidly made. Nice bash plate at the front. That always comes in handy. Nice running board. And good old leaf springs. They do the trick. So I haven't tried to reinvent the wheel on this truck, which is always good. Another clever feature is at the back. It's got the gas struts here to help it come down nicely, and then if you want to step up, this thing comes out at the back, and then you can just step into the bakkie like that. Simple like a pimple. Performing rather well on the off-road track. Haven't needed to put the E-diffs on. With better tires, obviously you'd have a bit more grip, but 210mm clearance doing the job. It does do a fair amount of beeping on the off-road track. Just turn that off. Climbs up this little hill. No problem at all. Choppy on this gravel section. So I think a softer tire pressure would come in handy. So for the little off-road tester. No, it's got the. I'm not going to put the diff lock on. I don't think I need it. Trucker. It's got an on-demand four-wheel drive system. Let's see how it works. Come on, baby. Let's boot it out. Okay, that wasn't too bad. When I go in this in my X-Trail all the time. Acceleration off the line, a little bit of turbo lag, but when it gets going, it's all there. And then on the brakes, pretty good brakes, not class leading, but pretty good brakes. So what do I like about this car? I like the price, very luxurious. It's got all the off-road ability you need, low range, 2 e-lockers. It looks good, it turns heads, it's pretty fuel efficient. Downside, I think fully loaded it's going to be a bit short on power. A lot of electronics, a lot of sensors which have a good safety feature to them, but sometimes I find they get in the way of driving. I would like to have one button where you can just turn everything off. Class leading camera, 5-year 100,000 K service and warranty plan, which is good. They got faith in the vehicle itself. So I think the Hilux and the Ranger has to sit up and notice this. They're coming in 200,000-300,000 rand cheaper than their top of the range models, and if this thing can prove to be reliable, this could be a shifting of the sands in the luxury market. The Karoo, the Mahindra Karoo, is arguably the best utilitarian bakkie on the market. This could be in the running for the best value for money luxury bakkie. So it's all to play for. Excited to see what Toyota and Ford and all the other big boys, the response to this is going to be. But it can only be good for the customer. Having more competition in the market means that the Japanese cars have to look at pricing and see where they can improve. The only problem is if this, you just don't want car companies to start cutting corners to compete on price. A lot of people are prepared to pay a little extra for a premium product. I would like to see this in a 3-litre 4-cylinder turbo, similar to the Isuzu D-Max, which I think is a perfect balance between affordability and performance. Okay, how are we coming? More autonomous driving. In terms of reliability of the Great Wall motors, one of my subscribers has had a couple of them. He says the 2-litre turbo is the one to go for. Rock solid reliability. The 2.5, which is a modified Isuzu engine, apparently does give a few issues. So they've definitely stuck the right engine in here in terms of reliability. I just would like to see a bigger option. I think overseas you can get the petrol, the 2-litre twin turbo petrol. You can get the 2-litre petrol engine, which you get in the H9, which is a very strong, powerful engine. I think it's a Mitsubishi engine with a Toyota turbo or something like that. Yeah, let's see how the car handles this corner. Quite a sharp one. Whoa, turn, you bastard. You see, this autonomous driving is still not quite 100%. It can't really deal with the sharp corners that nicely. You see, it's all over the shop now. So really, this is still semi-autonomous driving. You got to have your hand. I guess that's why they want you to have your hand on the wheel. So these corrections on the steering wheel are really more gentle corrections than actual proper steering. Getting oh, you see, no. So for me, this is still semi-autonomous. It's not fully autonomous. I don't think that's the way that they design it. It kind of gives you gentle corrections, but for sharp corners, you're gonna have to do that yourself, which is fine. The real feature I like is just being able to follow the guy in front of you. The actual steering part I can take care of, but I just want to be able to follow the guy in front of me. One thing I would like one button, just have a button that turns all the assists off, and you can just drive it like an old school car. I think that would be a really nice feature to have. Off the line, it's got pretty good acceleration, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's on our classic cambered corner. Let's see how she does through here. I'm not going to lift off. Yeah, not much body roll at all. So with the stiffer suspension, it definitely helps the handling. 2 bar is the number here to be running your tires at. Or you could put a 16-inch rim on here or 17-inch rim and get a bit more of a higher profile tire. One thing I have seen overseas is they've got an off-road version of this coming with BF Goodrich tires, a snorkel, and a few other 4x4 accessories, which I think is going to do really well. Basically, this is up against the status quo of the Hilux, the Ranger, the Isuzu D-Max, the Mazda BT50, Mitsubishi Triton, and to a lesser degree the Mahindra, which can't compete with this on tech and luxury. And really on price, this thing smashes the competition by at least 200k. And if the reliability turns out to be good on this, the other cars don't really have a chance, because it's got everything that those cars have got and more. The longevity of the electronics is going to be something to keep an eye on, because you know there's a lot to go wrong here. It reminds me of a Range Rover. It's got sensors and electronics and this and that and the next thing, but thankfully the engine is a good solid basic 2-litre turbo diesel engine. That part is not too advanced. I'm just a little bit worried about all these sensors and replacement costs and whatnot. Luckily Great Wall Motors does have a big dealer network in South Africa. I think I stand corrected, but there's 70 odd dealers around the country. The good thing about Great Wall is they combined with Reeds, who do the Isuzus and when General Motors were still in the country, they used to cover those brands. I think they do Subaru as well. So thanks to Reeds dealership in Plumstead. Jock, you legend, dude. Thanks for hooking me up. And looking forward to getting behind the Julian with a compact SUV, which is making some noises in the coming weeks. Because Great Wall Motors definitely do make good product, good solid product. I think we're getting a similar situation that we had in the 70s with Japanese cars, when Toyota cars were seen as substandard and the British cars were seen as the cars to have. But we all know about the reliability of British cars. And the China and the Japanese basically ate up market share in the UK and America, when the American cars just couldn't compete. And when you want to put the boots in, it's all there. Into the corner, no lifting off. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. This bakkie's got filler. Catch you next time, Africa Sideways. See, when you brake hard into the corner, it goes tee 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 tee. Just do the braking, you don't need to do that. Some of these new cars are just a little bit nanny state for my liking.